Back to the daily grind, and shout out to the full-time patrons. Make sure to hit subscribe if you're new and hit thumbs up if you're not a baby back bagel biting bitch boy, cause you know what time it is. It's full time.
MMA.
What is up, full-time family? It is time to touch on Cris Cyborg wanting to fight Holm versus Megan Anderson winner, and then Amanda Nunes. That is Cris Cyborg's itinerary, if you want to say, as far as her UFC career, her next couple of fights. This is interesting, man. Cris Cyborg in a situation, of course, there's Cris Cyborg, there's girls that call her out, and I agree with Cris Cyborg here, man. These chicks, it looks like, just try to build their name off of Cyborg, because I can't tell you how many girls have called out Cris Cyborg, and then they just change the story. They don't want no smoke. They're wolfing, bro. No, I want Cyborg. I think it makes sense. Yeah, let's go, Cyborg. As soon as Cyborg says, okay, you ready? Man, I got injured. I got this going on. I got that going on. I think my dog needs walked. I mean, literally, motherfuckers don't want that smoke with Cris Cyborg. But the thing is, now she's the UFC featherweight champion, and someone's gonna have to fight her if they want that opportunity. That's the good thing about Cris Cyborg being the champion. People are gonna want a crack at that opportunity. Hey, I can go in and fight Cyborg. I'm probably gonna get the biggest payday of my life, and if I win, I become the fucking giant killer. If I win, and they probably, you know, have a whole little, after once they say if I win in their head, they probably laugh at themselves like, ha, if I beat Cris Cyborg. Like, no one's beating Cris Cyborg. Now, with that being said, there are a couple of challengers lined up, possibly. And when I say, hold on, full-time family, hold on. When I say nobody beating Cris Cyborg, I'm talking about right now. Don't forget about my motherfucking girl, Kayla Harrison, coming up over in the PFL. I still got my eyes on Kayla Harrison, Ronda Rousey 2.0. She might be the one to dethrone Cris Cyborg in a couple years from now. I'm just saying, Kayla Harrison, two-time judo gold medal, lightweight coming over, about to be fighting at featherweight. I am pumped for Kayla Harrison as far as if she can make it to the UFC, because I think that could be a legitimate, serious challenger for Cris Cyborg. I'm talking skill-wise. I'm not talking about just putting someone in there because they weigh 145 pounds, or just put someone in there because they're a legitimate, you know, bantamweight title challenger. I'm talking about a legitimate savage that's going to be cutting to Cris Cyborg's weight with her and Kayla Harrison. But that's another topic for another day. As far as right now is concerned, Cris Cyborg wants to fight the Holm versus Megan Anderson winner, and then potentially Amanda Nunes. Now, what's interesting about this fight is Megan Anderson is one of the girls that have already called out Cyborg. Amanda Nunes is one of the girls that have called out Cyborg in the past. But right now, they've both got situations going on to where they can't fight Cris Cyborg, who kind of needs an opponent right now. Because Cris Cyborg fought Yana Kunitskaya at UFC 222, and she didn't suffer too many injuries in the fight, so she's ready to go. But the thing is, who can you have fight Cris Cyborg? Unless you just want to get another girl from Invicta. Hey, you want to come over and fight Cyborg just because Cyborg wants to fight? You could do that. But if you're talking about the biggest fights for Cyborg, she wants the Holm Megan Anderson winner. And this is what Cyborg had to say. I don't want to wait. I want to fight, and I think this fight, Megan Anderson and Holly, they're already making plans for the me and Holly rematch, because they just took Alistair Overeem off the pay-per-view, put him on the prelims, and they put Megan Anderson and Holly the first fight on the pay-per-view with Megan. And I don't think Dana White wants to get prepared for me and Holly to have a rematch. She said, I think he does want to get prepared for the Holm rematch. I'm not going to wait for Amanda from her injury. I'd like to fight who's going to win the next fight of Holly and Megan, and then it can be the last fight on my contract with Amanda. She can take all the time she needs. Now, Amanda Nunes versus Cris Cyborg would be the champion versus champion super fight. That Amanda Nunes was the one that wolfed her way into it. Cris Cyborg didn't want to fight Amanda Nunes at first. Hey, you're Brazilian, sweetie. I don't want to fuck up a fellow Brazilian. Hey, Amanda Nunes, look, I want to fight a legitimate featherweight. Don't do this to yourself. Like, Cris Cyborg was trying to give Amanda Nunes ways to get out of the fight, and Amanda Nunes kept wolfing, talking about, no, forget the fellow Brazilian thing. It's got nothing to do with Brazil. I just want to fight you. Oh, no, I'll put on the weight. Let's go up. Like, and now she's turned around and she fought someone else, and now Amanda Nunes actually suffered like a 6-month setback after her fight. She won her fight versus Raquel Pennington at UFC 224, Amanda Nunes did, but she had a medical suspension for like 180 days afterward. I don't know if she broke her hands like Kamaru Usman in the fight or what, but being out for up to 180 days definitely set back any potential Cris Cyborg fight that could have been next for Amanda Nunes. So in the meantime, in between time, we got Holm versus Megan Anderson fighting at UFC 225. And Cris Cyborg feels like Holm is being set up for a potential rematch, because that's what probably Holm is Cyborg's biggest named opponent to date. You know, everyone used to want Cyborg versus Rousey, but clearly Rousey, that's not happening. She's not the champion anymore. She left MMA unceremoniously. She's in the WWE. So who's the next best option for Cyborg? The girl that beat Ronda Rousey, Holm. And that fight happened. It was a pretty, big success. It wasn't the largest selling pay-per-view ever, but it was the end of the year card. Holm versus Cris Cyborg. You had Habib versus Edson Barboza on the card. It was pretty stacked. They did okay. So I'm sure the UFC wouldn't mind putting that fight back together. But the thing is, Holm's got to get past Megan Anderson. And I believe she's the favorite coming into the fight. But not a lot of people know about Megan Anderson. As far as her skills are concerned, you'd probably give the edge to Holm. But the thing is, and that's just like technical striking skill, but when you watch Holm fight, it's not like she's just fucking awing you and stalking her opponents down and just dismantling chicks. Even in her Betch Correia fight, it wasn't the greatest thing we ever saw, right? Until that fucking head kick came. The Betch Correia talked a little trash and then got kicked straight upside her fucking dome piece and knocked out. But before that point in the fight, it wasn't very exciting or entertaining, right? But Holm ended up getting that KO. But also think about Holm versus Valentina Shevchenko. Man, that fight right there really put Valentina Shevchenko on the map for a lot of people. She walked through Holm's counter-strike and outstruck Holm. So Holm's definitely got the skills that pay the bills. But don't sleep on Megan Anderson and don't overrate Holm. If Megan Anderson wins this fight, which is a possibility, it's not like Holm's walking in this joint a fucking 10-1 favorite. She's like a 2-1 favorite. So she might win the fight. And Cris Cyborg could be right. The UFC might want to see Cyborg versus Holm too, but you can't make that immediately, right? Holm's record. See, this is the thing about Holm. She's like what, 4-5 in her last 5 fights. 4-5, or she's only won 1 out of her last 5 fights. Holm has lost 4 of her last 5 fights. The thing is, like, almost all of those have been main event or title fights. But the thing is, though, still, Megan Anderson's gonna have some size in here. She's not just some geek off the streets coming over here, some shit can. People know about Megan Anderson. We've heard Megan Anderson versus Cris Cyborg for how long now? Cris Cyborg's wanted to fight Megan Anderson. Megan Anderson's wanted to fight Cyborg. Megan Anderson's now in the UFC. And you don't think she's gonna want to? If Megan Anderson can beat Holm, and I don't know if she can, but that's still a big fight, Megan Anderson versus Cris Cyborg. So we'll see what happens. I will say this: the winner of Holm versus Megan Anderson is most likely fighting Cyborg. Who's it gonna be? I'm not sure. Cris Cyborg seems to believe it's gonna be Holm though. We could be looking at Holm versus Cyborg too. Holm, one of the only chicks to survive with Cris Cyborg. Cris Cyborg usually gets her opponents out of there pretty fucking quick. You're in here with a fucking predator, low-key. Cris Cyborg, you're in here with the baddest bitch in the UFC. You're gone. But Holm was able to last 5 rounds with Cris Cyborg, So we'll see what happens with this. But after the Megan Anderson versus Holm fight, then Cris Cyborg is eyeing a potential fight with Amanda Nunes. Her 180 days will be up. Cris Cyborg will have another title defense under her belt, and it'll be time for that champion versus champion super fight, which I can't wait for if it does happen. Amanda Nunes versus Cyborg. But to be honest, it doesn't matter if it's Holm, Megan Anderson, or Amanda Nunes. I feel like they all fall victim to Cris Cyborg at this point in her career. Maybe in a couple of years, Cris Cyborg will be a couple of years older. Kayla Harrison will be a couple of years more ready with more experience. She'll be ready to come in here and shut shit down. But until then, let the full-time family know what you think in the comments about Cris Cyborg's potentially fighting a winner of Holm versus Megan Anderson, and then Amanda Nunes. Also, Cris Cyborg's been talking about transitioning to pro boxing and fighting like Celia Brackus or something like that. So yeah, man, I'm out. And as always, thanks for checking out this video. If you want to join the notification gang, make sure you hit subscribe and also hit the bell next to it so you're notified every time I upload a video. And if you want to help this channel reach its full potential, consider hitting the PayPal link in the description or going to patreon.com/fulltimemma and becoming a patron. I'm out.
This is #1 bullshit.